And there we are. Welcome in, everybody. We are live, and I think we got a pretty big show tonight. I put that in the headline of our intro tonight, and I think we are going to have a big show. We had a huge show last week, and I think the show has just gotten bigger and bigger every week, and much thanks to all of you who have subscribed to both our Facebook and YouTube channels. And we're kind of settling in on this Wednesday night spot. Big day tomorrow and Friday, back out at LSU for the last two camps at LSU for summer. We can talk about that, and then we're going to hit, of course, a period in July where they're off, and then they'll have another week in July. But, of course, a lot of the talk since the end of the baseball season and Paul Mainieri's retirement is who the next LSU baseball coach is going to be, and I think we've got a lot to discuss there tonight. So I'm going to wait for a lot of you guys to get in here. As always, much thanks to Pride Roofing for sponsoring this show each and every week. We couldn't do it without them. Mike Faraday and Alex Martinez do a fantastic job. And if you need a roof from anywhere along I-10, whether you're out in Sulphur, Louisiana, and all the damage that's been suffered in Southwest Louisiana, or you're all the way to Gulf Shores, Alabama, they've got multiple locations, fully staffed, fully stocked, and ready to get out to see you. And as always, give them a call, 225-275-2041, and tell them you heard about them on TigerBait. And if they come out and give you a free roof inspection, if they're just giving you a quote, they don't get the bid, you tell them you heard about it on TigerBait, they're going to pay for you to have an annual subscription to TigerBait for free. So you cannot beat that deal. We're going to talk about, a little bit more about them a little bit later in the show. But as always, please do me a favor, hit the like button, share it. If you're new to our YouTube channel, and you like what you're hearing and you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Every time we go live, you'll get a little ding to your cell phone. Same thing on Facebook. Hit the follow first button and the like button on our TigerBait Facebook page. And much appreciated. You guys absolutely have helped this show grow each and every week. As you can see, Buddy Saunders not with me this week. He's got another date night, as he calls it. And I think he'll be back next week. But obviously, a lot of discussion, and I can see some of your comments already wanting to talk about the coaching search. You've got a pretty big faction in the Baton Rouge area that just believe in the inevitability of Mike Bianco being named the next LSU baseball coach. And I'm of the opinion that I think this thing is going to go a lot longer than people think. And look, if Mike Bianco was the guy, why haven't we had a press conference yet? Why isn't it broke tonight that it's a done deal and for the media to get out to LSU for a 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. press conference tomorrow? And from a selfish point of view, I hope that doesn't happen tomorrow or Friday because we've got full days of football camp, and how I would juggle that, I have no idea. But what I do think on the Mike Bianco thing, I do think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. I think Scott Woodward, as usual, has done a fantastic job of keeping things on the down low. I don't think he's succumbing to any type of pressure. And I do think that the longer this goes on is going to be very telling about what the direction of this coaching search is going to be. So, look, it's those of you who have been listening to my show, if you're a subscriber to TigerBait and seeing my periodic updates on the coaching search on our Tiger Den Premium message board, know that I still think that Tim Corbin is in the mix here. I think Tim Corbin is going to be in the mix until he tells Scott Woodward no. And is Tim Corbin the guy that tells him no and then Bianco gets the job automatically? I don't think that that's the case either. I think there might be one or two other candidates out there. So, and then I think once you get to that point, you know, look, Mike Bianco's got a job. And he's got to live there. He's got to coach there. And at some point, it's not like Bianco's just going to sit there and wait around and have everybody in Oxford, Mississippi saying, well, are you taking the LSU job or not? Have you been offered the LSU job? You know, at some point, Mike Bianco in so many days is going to have to say, you know what, I'm no longer in consideration for the LSU job, because he's got a job to do. Because the longer that goes on, the more that damages his current job. It damages his standing with the Ole Miss fan base. And that is an absolute truth. So, look, I don't know if it's Backage at Michigan. I don't know if it's the coach at Virginia. But I do believe Tim Corbin is still a guy. And like I've been telling you guys for weeks, multiple weeks, he is not on the same page with his new athletics director. I hear there's some issues there. I think there's some issues still with facilities at Vanderbilt. And just like everybody's saying that 21 years is a long time at any one place, I think the number of years that Corbin has been at Vanderbilt is a long time as well. So we're going to watch some baseball this weekend. And unless we find out that Mike Bianco is absolutely done and they're going to introduce him, I don't see that happen. So let's see, guys. Eric DeLine, I don't want Mike Bianco as the baseball coach. Not excited as all. If he is, I think he will be a swing and miss. His record at Ole Miss is nothing special at all. Look, he's won a lot of baseball games. Former player, very well liked. There's no denying that. But like I said on my board, when you start talking about Bianco, it is really difficult to not come across if you're not excited about him. It's like you're ripping the guy, and I don't want to do that. But we've had a poll on the website now for about 48 hours, and the question on the front page of our TigerBait poll, which of course is unscientific, would Mike Bianco excite you if he were named LSU's next baseball coach? And right now it's 46% yes, 54% no. And that is very telling. Look, you don't, particularly a guy like Scott Woodward. Do you think Scott Woodward wants to roll out a guy that, is underwater with the fan base as far as excitement level, wow factor? I'm not seeing it. And so, look, I think a good part of what's going on here is, there's not a whole lot of coaches from coast to coast to choose from that are going to be like, hiring a football coach or hiring a basketball coach. Mulkey certainly is an anomaly that you're not ever going to see before. There's no resume of any coach in sports that's better than hers from top to bottom. While Nick Saban has all the football national championships, he doesn't have the credentials as a player, as an Olympian, and all that she has. So, but at the same time, look at what Scott Woodward has done in all of his hires. They're all big names. There's all a wow factor. It's all been there. So, look, I do think that we're going to see, I think we're going to see a lot of guys that, let me say it this way. I believe that there's a lot of former players, and what you're seeing is a lot of the former players, particularly that played with Mike Bianco, were of that era and of the Burtman era. They're very much pro Mike Bianco. He's a Skip Burtman disciple. I think there's a similar dynamic here that played out when Ed Orgeron became the coach. And you had a lot of former players that go back decades that felt like they were shut out of the LSU football program because Les Miles was not very good with former players. He was downright awful. And with Paul Mainieri, there's a whole lot of that as well. Not saying that it's been with everybody, and it can be a whole lot of chicken or the egg as well. Who was first? Who slighted him? Look, there's been former players that have gone on the radio and ripped Mainieri over the years. There's been pot shots on Twitter. What came first? And so, look, I think some of that over time probably could have worn on Paul Mainieri, but there's no doubt about it. There's a good number of Burtman former players that would absolutely like for their guy to be the guy, and a lot of those former Skip Burtman players have a much bigger role in the baseball program. So I think that's a big factor into why you have a big nucleus of baseball boosters and money people in this town that are talking about Mike Bianco. And look, while there's no doubt that Skip Burtman would like Mike Bianco to get the job, I absolutely, contrary to some other people, do not believe that he's throwing his weight around. I don't think he's exerting any amount of pressure at all. He's absolutely a baseball guy. He's a former athletics director, and he's going to let Scott Woodward do his job. And And if someone's rolled out there that isn't Mike Bianco, I think he'll be there and shaking hands and giving great interviews on that day after he's been introduced and saying a lot of nice things. So that's my take on it. Let's see. All right, guys. I see Arch Manning should be a priority. Yeah, he was there yesterday, and look, he's got a lot of buddies that are going to be Tigers. Johnson at receiver, Bo Bordelon. Got another Bordelon coming up in Brett, ninth grader, going to be his right tackle. I think LSU's a bit of a long shot. And if he doesn't end up at LSU, I think if you're an LSU fan, you're probably hoping he goes to either Clemson or Texas. You don't want him at Alabama. But look, there's still a lot of time to play out on that one. But look, all those dads are very, very close. I think there's a Walker Howard factor that's in play here as well. But look, I think whether it's with Arch or Eli Holstein, I think that's part of the reason why Woodlawn's Ricky Collins got an offer last week. And then we're going to see, because I don't believe this 22 class is going to be a 2-quarterback class, but I think there's a good chance that the class of 23 could be a 2-quarterback class for LSU. Or you just make sure you take one every year, and if you feel like you've got an issue, then you go to the transfer portal for a quarterback, and then that would give you a 2-quarterback class in a particular year. But still a lot of time left to see how this is going to play out. But I said it here, and I said, look, even when we first got that story that was put out nationally of where Arch Manning was going to be going in the month of June and LSU wasn't there, I absolutely knew that they were going to sneak over to LSU in June, and I had it confirmed again on Saturday because the last thing I wanted to do is say they were going to be at LSU on a particular camp day, and it would absolutely have been a media circus. You probably would have had every New Orleans TV station with satellite trucks in Baton Rouge for that. And it's that kid is getting inundated with a lot. I've never seen the amount of recruiting interest in a recruit as we're seeing in Arch Manning, and it's only going to get worse in the next few years. Keith Wilson, he wants Tony Vitello. Look, everybody laments the fact that he's a single guy and he's going on dates and look, I'm one of the types, that's nobody's business, and that's his right as a single man. But I don't think he's going anywhere. I think they're about to pay up real big in Knoxville, and so we're going to see how that plays out. Let's see. Brandon Reese. Woodward has to make a big-time hire for baseball. I think he will. You know, one of the things that, and look, I've heard all the arguments for folks that are pro Mike Bianco, that he's just hit a wall at Ole Miss. You just can't win there. They've got, and a lot of it is just, to me, is just utter nonsense. That you know, there's an absolute ceiling there. Man, there's a lot of mid-major programs, low-major programs, schools with not even close to the resources that they have at Ole Miss that have won big in college baseball, national championships. So they've done it at Vanderbilt. They've done it at South Carolina. Tennessee's doing what they're doing. Arkansas is had one of the top programs, even though they blew it this past weekend. I mean, who did LSU see last week? Gonzaga was a very good baseball team that LSU faced in the Eugene Regional. Cal State Fullerton over the years. I mean, Fresno State won national championship. It goes on and on. Oregon State with multiple national championships. So this stuff that Mike Bianco just needs to be in Baton Rouge, and all of a sudden he's worth numerous percentage points in winning percentage, and that'll get him over the hump, and he can be in Omaha routinely. I don't buy that. I just don't. And but that's what the pro Bianco guys are selling. Let's see. Yeah, it's an Ole Miss ceiling with the it's not a glass ceiling like I said on my board the other night. It's a Kevlar coated titanium ceiling, And then on top of that, you've got one heck of a gree that's on top of that as to why nothing big can happen in Oxford, Mississippi. Look, and that's one of the other things. Their athletic director didn't roll him over or renew his contract 2 years ago. He's got an incentive-based contract. And talking to some boosters, I got one guy that I know that actually used to run a major website in that market, goes back years. And most of them can't believe their fortune that LSU might actually come and take Mike Bianco off their hands. So let's see. James Phillips, I like the Dallas Baptist coach. He's done an incredible job. Yes, he has. Whenever I talk to people that are familiar with him, who have conversations with him, look, where did he graduate college? He played baseball up in Illinois somewhere, something of the Nazarene. Of course, Dallas Baptist. Would he be a fit in Baton Rouge? That's what's always thrown up to me whenever I bring him up. I know that he's done things at Dallas Baptist where he's tried to get mandated Bible study for his baseball team. You couldn't do something like that at a public school. What are the roadblocks? Because look, LSU is not going to be the only major school in a Power 5 conference that's looking at him and thinking he's a guy. What's the stumbling block? So, Blaine Smith says not happening. What's not happening? Funky Danu, what are you looking forward to seeing at the LSU's elite camp tomorrow? That's a good question. Even though it has the name elite on it, one of the things we noticed early on in May when we were interviewing kids and getting their visit dates and what days they were going to camp, most of them said they were going the first weekend in June. So it was like, well, why isn't that one called the elite camp? You've got other regional and national events going on this weekend. So I'm not sure what I'm going to see tomorrow. But you can book it. Excuse me. You can book it. There's going to be a nice group there. I'm told it's going to be huge. So we're going to have a running thread, photo galleries all throughout the day, notes, who I'm seeing, who I like. That'll be on the Tiger Den message board all day long tomorrow and Friday. And so we'll have that for you on TigerBait. Kenny Haynes, my new wish, Brian O'Connor, of course, from Virginia or bust. NC National Championship, Maneri Ties built the program. And that is absolutely the type of guy that we're talking about that Scott Woodward would go for. And like I said, it could be him. There's Backage up there at Michigan. I've reached out to a Michigan source of mine. They can't find anything. Backage is absolutely in the right spot of the country to be that sleeper candidate that nobody's really having any contact with, nobody's having any conversations with, nobody here has a relationship with him or anybody on his staff. And he could absolutely be the quiet assassin that sneaks in the back door and could be that guy that where I've had a source tell me several times in the last 3 weeks, there's a guy out there that hardly anybody's talking about or nobody's mentioning. So, but I still think it's Tim Corbin is the guy to watch. Because look, if it's Mike Bianco and he's not rolled out and named and introduced as the head baseball coach tomorrow or Friday, what's the holdup? What's the holdup? And then if it goes into next week, and if Woodward's going to sit back and do all the interviews, and he wants to talk to O'Connor at Virginia, and he wants to talk to Corbin, I mean, you could be talking about another week and a half, 2 weeks. And so Bianco can't sit there twisting in the wind and doing irreparable damage to his current job. At some point, Bianco's got to say, hey, I'm out. Either if you want me now, I can come, but I can't let this twist in the wind any longer because it's affecting my current job. And there's an absolute truth to that. Garrett Gaujour, a lot of bad info out there. I've not seen that. But I do think that Garrett, I thought you said Backage wouldn't fit in Baton Rouge. I tell you what, I had one guy that say that, and then I think his information was getting crossed on two different guys. and this is a guy who's like the guy. And so no, I haven't heard that. I know one thing: Michigan would absolutely be sick if they lost him. So Chance Babin, compare Arch and Holstein. Other than name brand, Eli is a top-notch quarterback. He is absolutely a top-notch quarterback. And every time I watch his video, he's getting better every time I see him. We filmed him their spring scrimmage at the end of May. Looks very, very good. Look, when you're getting offers from Ohio State and Alabama to go along with Texas A&M and everybody else. Now, he went to Clemson, and he was there the same day as Arch. Arch got an offer, he didn't. So, not to say that he might not get an offer from Clemson down the road, but no, absolutely fantastic. They're both tall kids. I believe Holstein's 6'3", 221 right now. Ran a 4.6 up at Indiana at their Elite 11 up there, and very, very good. But I think LSU's a long shot for both of them. I think it's partially Walker Howard the year before, class of 22. And Arch as well, Cooper, Jamie Howard, all those dads talk to each other. They've been friends for many years. And so I think that's a factor. But look, there's still ways for this to play out and see what all happens. But I think if you're LSU, as far as Arch, don't want him at Alabama. You want him at Clemson or Texas. And Holstein, I somehow get the feeling that A&M might be the school. But he's got a lot of great options. So both super quarterbacks. And of course, Ricky Collins got the offer. I don't think quarterback is going to be an issue for LSU in the coming years. That they're going to be just fine. Charles, I do think that that is partially why they offered Ricky Collins, but he also had a good camp. I was at the 7-on-7 on Saturday when Coach Peets was right there watching. Of course, he had seen him the week before at the other camp, and then he was back with Woodlawn and Marcus Randall playing 7-on-7. And I was right there when Coach Peets was watching Marcus against St. Aug in one of that little tilt about midday on Saturday. So that's when the offer came. Coach Peets came up and talked to Marcus Randall, and super guy, loads of energy. So Ricky Collins has a lot of upside as well. So great athlete. Maybe need to tweak his throwing motion a little bit. But I think there's going to be a lot more offers coming his way in the coming months as well. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button, share. If you're on Facebook, please share to the LSU groups for me. Share it to your timeline. Same thing on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Very much appreciated. And another thing we appreciate here at TigerBait is Pride Roofing sponsoring this show each and every week. You know, Mike Faraday and Alex Martinez, absolutely fantastic guys, run a very reputable business. And you're not going to beat their warranty on their labor. And A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. And whether you're in Sulphur, Louisiana, all the way to Gulf Shores, they're who you want to give a call. If you're in a bid situation, give them a call. Tell them you heard about them on TigerBait.com, and they're going to pay for it. It's not a freebie. They're paying me money for you to have some TigerBait for a year, whether you end up giving them the business at the end or not. So free roofing inspection. Give them a call, 225-275-2041. If you need a new roof, believe me, they've got all the shingles and all the colors from top tier brands. There's no builder grade materials that they're going to put on your roof. And if you've got a mid-size home, 2,500 square foot, a lot of times they can get your roof torn off in the morning and have the new roof on and done by the end of the day. That's how much they run like a Rolex, them and their crews. There's no waiting around. There's other roofing companies out there, I'm told, they can take 2 or 3 months to even get you on their schedule. That is if they can get all the materials and the right shingles in the color you want. They've got enough shingles in their yard right now, just in their Albany location, to do close to 200 roofs. So the flashing that they use on the roof, they make in-house. It's none of that cheap silver stuff that you see at a Home Depot that as soon as you lean your ladder up against it, it's going to bend. I mean, this stuff is like, the gauge of it is about that thick. I don't know what you'd call that, 100 gauge, whatever, but it's going to dent your ladder if you're using an old style wooden ladder. So give Proud Roofing a call. Mike Faraday, of course, Broadmoor grad, LSU grad, excellent people. I grew up with him, vouch for him, and they're the official roofing company of TigerBait.com, and love them being a part of our operation every week. So much thanks to them. Let's see. Charles Duncan. Looks like Brad Davis is making a difference with offensive linemen on the recruiting trail. We're going to see. I think he's going to have some new names. That is another thing that I'm going to be looking for in the next few days. Is there going to be some offensive linemen that show up for camp that maybe were on his board at Arkansas that we weren't covering with Coach Craig? So we're going to see how that plays out. Let's see. Justin LaGrange. I just don't see Corbin leaving Vandy, and Tony V is not mature enough for the LSU job. Justin, look, I think what I've seen Scott Woodward do and the type of packages he puts together and the way he closes the deal, and after what he did with Kim Mulkey, what he did with Jimbo Fisher, what he did at Chris Peterson at Washington, I'm not going there. I think he's going to wait it out until Tim Corbin tells him no, and maybe it isn't Corbin. Maybe there's somebody else, but it's going to be very telling to me if we make it to the weekend, and we're almost there, if Mike Bianco is not introduced as the head baseball coach at LSU. And like I said, I think the longer it goes, the more damage it does to his ability to stay at his current job and not have a ton of headaches and the fan base getting upset with him. Look, there's a lot of them that are very rational there because they understand it's where he played baseball, it's where he started his coaching career, wife from here, etc. But you've also, it is Ole Miss and this is LSU. There's going to be a whole lot of them that aren't going to appreciate twisting in the wind if he's going to sit there for a week and a half or 2 weeks while he's waiting for Scott Woodward to say, okay, you're our guy, come on in. I just don't see it playing out like that. Yep, and Charles, and that was the deal with Buzz Peterson in basketball, even though, but there was a lot of fanfare with that one, and that was who the A&M fans wanted when he hired him, and he got him. He's done it repeatedly. So, Mark Chambers, time is on Scott Woodward's side, and look, he's sitting back. In fact, I don't even know how much he's paying attention to what's on Twitter, talk radio, any of it to him is probably helping him do his job the way he wants to do it, and he could care less what's being said on this show or any other show on Baton Rouge radio. The more smoke that it provides him the screen he needs to do what he wants to do. Let's see, guys. Chance Babin, do you think the decommits are a result of now being able to see kids in person? I do. Did LSU back off these kids? Yes, they did. Absolutely. Look, there's also a scenario, not just because of COVID, where they are now able to get these kids on campus, work with them at camp, and say, look, this isn't going to work. But it's also, too, I'm seeing where there's some kids that were maybe offered scholarships a year or two ago as ninth graders, where I'm not sure that those offers are committable anymore. So now that we're reopened, I think there's a whole lot of guys that they've got to go back in on and reevaluate, and which they're doing right now, and they'll get it fixed up. So you just got to be able to do it the right way. You got to be able to have a real good tact. You got to have a real good way of handling this situation with each of these particular situations. And Lucas Taylor's situation, obviously, he landed very well on his feet, committed in a hurry to Mississippi State. So we're going to see how this plays out. Let's see. Guys, I'm trying to get to all your questions. I'm scrolling up because I know I missed a bunch. Robert Pugh, we talked about Dan Hefner. He's a DB at Dallas Baptist, an upcoming star. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get a good job soon. Yeah, like I said, the only problem there is, look, like like I said on the board the other day, look, we got, I don't know exactly what his religion, I'm assuming because he's at Dallas Baptist, he's Baptist. We got a lot of Baptist churches in Baton Rouge. Might have a problem with the mandatory Bible study if that is indeed a thing. But we'll see. Kenneth Haynes. The MLB draft is July 11th or so. That's the deadline to hire. Yep, plenty of time. Take your time. Now, that, like I said, that didn't do Mike Bianco any favors. All right. Yeah, Robert John Elias. Yeah, that you don't just get to fire James Craig over an NCAA issue with contact in a dead period. That's going to have to be dealt with, and so you're still waiting on the 8 scholarships that you self-imposed sanctions. That still hasn't been accepted by the NCAA. You still got the Will Wade matter out there. Now you can add this. Then you got the civil stuff out there with the lawsuits and the Title IX, Sharon Lewis. I mean, there's still, I don't know if you put a list down, what's the timetable where you can check the boxes on each and every one of these things that they're going to be taken care of. I mean, what are we talking about between the NCAA, civil cases, whether some get dismissed or settled out of court? I mean, what are we talking about? 3 or 4 years? Kenny, give me some advice. You know the legal system. What's probably the time frame on some of those? Charles Duncan, how many offensive linemen does LSU sign in the 22 class? I tend to think 5 was the low number, 5 or 6. It's got to be in that realm. You need a very big class. So we're still waiting on Emory Jones, who absolutely blew it out. I don't know if you guys saw my video. Absolutely unbelievable. I stand by it. I really believe in 3 years, you've got a real good possibility that both Emory Jones and Will Campbell are all SEC, possibly both of them first team all SEC offensive linemen. They're that good. Knock on wood, no injuries. But and Emory as a guard, he might be ready to play maybe a little bit earlier than Will, just because being a tackle at the college level is a bigger adjustment. But Emory is just he's fantastic. And I'm looking at some of the rankings out there on the services. I think I saw one where there might be 5 or 6 guys rated ahead of him nationally as an interior offensive lineman. I would like to see those 5 or 6 offensive linemen. Some of the guys out there doing rankings, I seem to hit them over the head each week. Some of these guys need to move to different fields. Let's see. Yes, Chance Babin, I am feeling good about Emory Jones. Those guys are all that whole group has become such good friends. You got Emory and Quincy Wiggins. You all saw the photos. Those all guys grew up in the same area. Could have been at Madison Prep, could have been at Estruma, could have been at Catholic High. All those kids know each other. They've all grown up together. And then they're all buddies with Will Campbell. They're buddies with Walker Howard, and on and on. Bo Bordelon is one of those Pied Piper kids too, and he's bringing in the New Orleans contingent. So this class is going to be absolutely one of the top 2 or 3 classes in the country when it's all said and done. Let's see, guys. I want to get to some more of your comments. Charles Duncan, Fitzgerald West. You're asking about the kid from Lafayette Christian. I've been saying for about 2 years, 18 months, that I thought if he was going to be a guy to play at a school like LSU or in the SEC, probably needed to be an offensive lineman. Came to camp, saw him, had coaches behind me with an earshot. I could hear him saying that kid just made himself a bunch of money. And so now I'm hearing that he absolutely wants to come as a defensive end. I don't believe that's going to work, guys. He's got to be an offensive lineman. So I don't know what LSU's going to do there. He wants to make a decision on July 10th. But Fitz is 6'1.5", I think. You need to show him Quincy Wiggins. You need to show him Allie Gay. You need to show him all of LSU's defensive ends. And to me, he's got to be a center or a guard, and he probably needs to be hiking a football every afternoon. So that might be a tricky situation for us to follow. Yes, Carl the Cat, nice to see you last Saturday. I told you I was going to, I'm glad you reminded me, Carl. Watching Coach Stingley out there at Dunham giving you a hard time for a missed call, but that's all right. Carl's always getting the airtime. Let's see. 7-on-7, Carl was out there refereeing. Who was that? Dunham and who, Carl? Dunham coaches were giving Carl the business on a missed, was that a missed touchdown? Let's see. Carl's been doing it for years. He's used to coaches giving him the business. You got to have thick skin. Yes, Brandon Reese, good one. Emory Jones, Kelvin Banks, Devin Campbell, Agbo would be huge additions on the offensive line. We've got a story on Kelvin Banks on the front page of TigerBait.com. Go subscribe. $1 gets you on the site for a week. Like I tell you, choose the annual package. You get 3 months free basically when you choose the annual. Come subscribe. We really want to have you with us on TigerBait. Be a part of our community. We've been growing by leaps and bounds every week, and much appreciative for all of you who've joined TigerBait. I can't thank you guys enough. We want to have you as a subscriber, but we've got an update on Kelvin Banks that our Preston guy did. Got another one coming tomorrow on another offensive lineman. I'm going to post that before I head out to camp. So, I think Kelvin Banks is probably the guy that LSU might have the best shot at. So we'll see. This is going to be a strong offensive line class, no doubt about it. There you go, Carl. Is Dunham versus Country Day. Mofunky Danu, correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Mofunky Danu. Any news on Trevante Citizen? Hasn't seen anything on him in a while. He likes to hold his cards close to the vest. There's some folks in Southwest Louisiana who think he's going to take a hard look, might want to go out of state. Kevin Falk's recruiting him hard. Obviously, Trevor Etienne is still in the mix, had a great time at LSU's camp. And, of course, Le'Veon Moss committed to Alabama last Sunday, so from Baton Rouge. So, and by the way, Kendrick Law is a guy to also be talking about when you're thinking about the running back position at Captain Shreve. Plays on both sides of the ball. Coach Peets at LSU is not letting him go to defense. He likes him as a hybrid player who can line up at running back, line up in the slot, do a lot of things. He's a hell of an athlete, super kid up at Captain Shreve. So I can't wait for football season. We're really almost there, guys. It's the countdown is here. So there you go. Daniel Glenn ties right into it nicely with this comment. Any early eyes or thoughts on the running back room now that the freshmen have arrived? No, but you've got a lot of possibilities there. You've got a lot to work with. And, whether it's Armani Goodwin or Corey Kiner that's going to be the freshman that steps up and gives you something first, waits to be seen. But both those guys have ability. Saw Tyrion David Price on Saturday, and, boy, he looked great. I think he said he was at 218. He's leaned up. Man, he looked awesome. So they're all pushing each other. The football teams, look, because we're out there at camp and the current football players get to work camp and they get paid. It's legal for them to get paid by the football program. I think they make a little over $100 a day. You get to see what these kids look like. And, of course, they're out there in polo shirts and T-shirts and shorts. And some of these kids really look great. Nussmeier, over 190 pounds. I tweeted out last week. I mean, he's put on over 15 pounds in a hurry. He arrived at 175. So all these kids are putting in the work and they're looking fantastic. So Charles Duncan says Kendrick Law looks like Reggie Bush. That's pretty high praise. We'll see. Hunter John Daigle, with all these other quarterbacks staying away from Baton Rouge due to Howard, Walker better, he better be the real, I'm assuming you're about to say he needs to be the real deal. Walker is the real deal. He's a gamer. He's a winner. Bad plays don't affect him. One of the most happy kids I've been around. Kids are drawn to him. He's a magnet for your program. And you guys know it. I've been beating the kid's drum for 2 years. I just think he's fantastic. He's over 190 now. It won't be long before he's 200 pounds. Heck, he might even get there before September. So, what's going to be his resting weight? Is he a 210 kid at some point? In a couple of years, we'll see. But the weight's coming on him, so we'll see how that plays out. When I first saw him, he was probably 150, 145 as a ninth grader, and still slinging it with velocity. Like Jake DeLone told me when I did his commitment story, and I had another story because Jake DeLone had worked with him. I know Tommy Hodson had worked with him growing up. But Jake said it was obvious as a sixth grader with his arm that he was making throws that high school kids couldn't make. And as he's getting bigger and stronger and older, that's only increased. I know he had a little thumb issue. So Under Armour last week, fantastic performance in Florida. And next weekend, he'll be at the Elite 11 finals. So, and I think that'll be broadcast, ESPN, we'll have all that for you. But I'm really hoping he performs very well. I know that one of the things, a lot of those quarterbacks know what drills are going to be done at these things. And Walker seems to go to these things and they're doing something that he's never done before. And I've been kind of like hammering, like, you guys need to find out what they're doing. So he goes there and he doesn't have one particular drill that saddles his final score because it's something he's never done before. So hopefully they've got that and are working on it. I keep saying, man, y'all need to call Craig Nall, former LSU quarterback, who's a part of that whole group that runs that thing, and get the lowdown on what that is. Roman George Jr., Walker is the receiver whisperer. He's going to need to be that this coming football season because he lost a whole lot at St. Thomas More. I went to one of their scrimmages in May, and he took off and run 2 or 3 times in a row, and I kind of said over to Coach Hightower, I said, is that a preview of the upcoming football season? He basically said, shut your mouth. Yeah, they're going to have to develop some receivers. In fact, his best receiver caught a ball at the end zone and broke his collarbone. And so it's like, man, he's already lost a new guy. So, yeah, it's and, I told Jamie this, I think maybe a little bit of adversity that he hasn't had when he's not going to have Besh and Arsenault and Domain. Maybe a little adversity might be a little good for him. I asked Jack Besh, I said, what's the over and under on how many passing yards Walker has next season? And Walker was kind of over here, and he says, I don't know. He goes, what did he have last year? I said, Walker, how many yards do you have last year? He goes, 3,300. And Jack came in with 2,200. So I think he immediately took his number off the top, so what he had last year. So, but Walker's absolutely adamant they're still going to win another state championship. But I can't wait for high school football season. There's going to be so many good football players just in the Baton Rouge area with LSU offers that we're all going to be watching. I think not only that part of my job, but also I think LSU's about to have a fantastic football season. So, yeah, Charles Duncan says STM always has people step up. Yes, they do. Let's see. Chris Williams, any word on Cardell Thomas and how he's doing? I know he was a beast coming out and haven't heard much since the injury. Having a new offensive line coach, and I've already heard this might be a very, very positive thing for Cardell Thomas. I'm not sure if him and Coach Craig got along or maybe Cardell, thought he was, there was something there that wasn't there. But this could actually be a positive. Coach Davis being the new guy could actually give a little spark to Cardell. So we'll see how that happens. Jacques Fontenot, tell me more, Mike. What you want to know, Jacques? Ask me something specific, and I promise I'll get it. Ryan Thibodeau, do you see LSU offering more players this weekend? I'd have a hard time believing there isn't. But look, what did I say the first week? And I thought I'd be shocked if they didn't have any commitments, and there weren't any. So you never know. You know, a lot of times I'll go to these camps where I think all the best kids have already been there, and you're going to go on a day, and it's just not going to be very eventful. And sure enough, there's going to be some kid that comes out of nowhere that's the storyline of the day. And I think we might have a few of that. We might have some of that in the next day or two. So stay tuned to TigerBait.com for that. Brandon Reese, it'd be nice if we were able to get Kamari Wilson, the 5-star safety from Florida. Number 1 for 22. It'll be a huge for Durante Jones since he's a safeties coach at heart. Yeah. Look, LSU's got a lot of good DBs on the board. I don't think DBs are going to be a problem. And I think that the new defensive coaches are going to have a lot to work with. We're going to see how this plays out. There's our buddy Blake Ruffino. Congratulations to him. He had 1,000 subscribers on YouTube this morning. Y'all go subscribe to AYS. He does a show every night. And he's always, his buddy would say, spicy. Y'all go check out Blake Ruffino, AYS, on YouTube. One of the friends of TigerBait.com. Let's see. Charles Duncan says your officials meeting start on July 5th. Tell you what, Charles, I was at Hahnville, and it dawned on me, I'm like, why would Ruston and Alexandria come to Hahnville to play spring games? And then when I was there, it was like a a referee convention. They probably had, I don't know, I'm just going to make up a number, 80, 100 referees from all over. And I'm wondering if that was that 3-game set at Hahnville was set up and paid for by a referee association so that refs could get graded, because you had these referees from these associations come out and were really coaching up guys, telling them where they were making mistakes. You're not backpedaling. You know, I was watching it. I mean, it was almost like fraternity hazing that I was seeing out there. Of course, saw Carr against Ruston. But what made me think that was all those teams came on nice buses. They weren't there on school buses. So I wondered if a referee association paid for both Ruston and Alexandria to come all the way to Hahnville for a spring game, because they needed they had a bunch of refs they wanted to work with, tutor, and maybe those refs get graded to get moved up to higher classifications or ever how that works. So let me know on that. Yeah, those are required camps, you said, but somebody had to pay for that. How did you convince Ruston to come all the way from North Louisiana and Alexandria as well? There had to be some incentive. So, because there was probably at any given time 20, 25 refs on the field. Let's see. 2 starting safeties this season. Justin Hosky asked. Well, I think it's Major Burns and Jay Ward. I think that's your 2 starting safeties. That's what I've been getting for the last month. So Major Burns is going to transfer in right away and be a starter. And Jay Ward had a fantastic spring. And then you got Todd Harris and others back there as well. LSU's going to have some defensive backs. Kenny Haynes, don't rub it in. What are we talking about? Muttley, how close are we to a number 1 ranked recruiting class? I haven't looked in a while to know what the numbers are, but I know what's on the board that's probably coming LSU's way, and guys that are going to have to get higher rankings, or I'm going to start naming names and calling people out. I think I don't see any way LSU's class isn't in the top 3, period, on signing day and when it's all said and done. There's just too much good guys on the board and what's already there. If they're not in the top 3, then there's some serious ass-hattery going on. Let's see. Jock Fontenot. Where do you think LSU stands with the kid from Pineville? I'm anxious to see him myself. So I haven't heard anything on him in a while. But let me do some digging, and I'll have an answer for you hopefully on next week's show. Let's see, guys. Chili, what you're asking about the official visitors, another fantastic group, and we'll be reaching out to them and seeing how that plays out. But LSU obviously hit the ground running. I mean, the number of official visitors in the month of June is fantastic, and you're going to have another almost 2 handfuls this weekend. And so we're going to be all over that at TigerBait. Let's see. Chris Williams. What are your thoughts on the Arch Manning visit? I knew it was going to happen. It just, you know, I don't know when that was, 4 or 5 weeks ago when you had the national story of where he was going to go unofficially for visits. And when LSU wasn't there, I just said, yeah, he's going to be at LSU one day. They're just not, he's not just letting it out because he didn't want all the circus of the media there. And I was very, in my mind, very, very good call and smart on Cooper Manning's part. I think Arch likes LSU. I've been told that a number of times. He's got all his teammates going to LSU, and we'll see how it plays out. But I do think, look at Clemson, Texas, and Alabama right now. All right, guys. Please go to TigerBait, subscribe. We want to have you. Hit the like button on Facebook, share it to your Facebook timeline, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching us there, hit the notification bell when we go live. Much thanks to all of you for tuning in tonight. We'll be back again next week. Full thread on our Tiger Den Premium board all day tomorrow for our live camp thread. We have the ability on this platform that we became a part of 3 years ago where we can upload photos from my cell phone at camp directly to the message board. And so our live camp threads is full of photos easily. And I'm giving notes, who I like, what I'm seeing, who's standing out. And that goes on all throughout the day. So that'll be tomorrow and Friday on the Tiger Den Premium message board on TigerBait.com. Any breaking news, you'll get a text alert if you're a subscriber and have signed up for text alerts. A lot of you guys have subscribed. You got to go to that on our push pin on our Tiger Den message board. And I'll show you how to, it walks you the process to make sure you sign up for our text alerts. I don't spam you at all. I only send you a text alert for breaking news and nothing more than that. So make sure you get that done if you're a subscriber. We'll be back here next week, and I'll see you guys on the Tiger Den message board all weekend long as we follow this baseball coaching search further and all the recruiting news that we can get a hold of. So see you guys next week. Thanks for participating, and talk soon.